We are live.
We are
live on Facebook. Now I gotta hope my technology works on the other side of this thing. I always get nervous because then I'm like, "Where's my phone?"
right there. Right there.
All right, Blake, you're gonna be in charge of getting up and checking if anybody comments anything.
Oh boy.
All right, let's see here. Use Colton's iPhone as a microphone. Don't use Snowball. That's picking up sound. Those are all off. And we are officially at 9:30.
On the dot.
Yep. 8:30 Central Time. 3, 2, 1. We are live at the Arnold.
Yes, sir.
Host Arnold. So yeah, we've got Cody and Blake joining us. The crew's back together. Gonna unpack the last 24 hours. And try to do it in like 45 minutes. So Adam, let's just kind of unpack yesterday. And we'll just kind of go from there.
I mean, great trip.
Yeah.
I mean, the car ride over here was pretty awesome. Got into this fine facility of an Airbnb.
Yes.
Got to spend some time with the boys. Got to talk a little bit about the pod. What we're going to be kind of hitting there throughout the course of the expo. And then got in late. Kind of got everything settled in and went for a walk. Vince still had because congratulations to these two big cats. They finished they completed 75 hard yesterday.
Go. Done.
Day 61 here for this guy.
76.
Yeah. But no, had a great talk on the walk and just got really looking forward to today's events, really.
Yeah. Awesome. So I guess like yesterday we drove over, went to the NFL Combine, which is really just a nice pit stop. We got to test to see how athletic we were.
Half of us got injured.
And the one that didn't is the one
Yeah, the one that did get injured is the one that got injured last year. That's good.
We've all got official NFL injuries now.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
I got a bone bruise.
My injury, my guaranteed money for my injury is to go ahead and get the bank account. It was good. And then, got in last night. This morning, I'll let Vince kind of talk on that. Got to go to Zach Matheny's gym, one of the guys I met when I came over here in 2017 for the summer. Thoughts from being around a smaller version of because I try to get people to realize, and it's hard at the 5 a.m. crew at Relentless to recreate it. But when you get other guys that have been around Corey and that crew, it gets created easily.
Yeah.
So what was your takeaways from like seeing that atmosphere?
Man, those guys were just so open and accepting to 4 guys that they knew nothing.
Yeah.
And coming up, talking like, hey, how'd you guys meet Zach? And, through Corey. I said, well, kind of through Colton, who knew Corey, worked, interned with him. But man, just the yelling, the screaming, the encouraging, come on, you can get it. They weren't even yelling for us. They were yelling for the other bench. But man, it just got us fired up. And man, yeah, it was a great environment.
Yeah, it was awesome. Shout out Matheny Muscle House, Zach for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If you're in the Columbus area, be sure to go check out Zach and his setup there. Want the calibrated weights for Relentless, but man, those were nice. So
man,
that
whole setup was just amazing.
He did it right.
Yeah.
A lot of attention to detail.
Yeah.
I think it was really cool too to see like almost like the next generation of that early morning crew being in there, that there were kids my age in there. The way I know whenever I'm your guys' age, not to call you old or anything, but that I'm not going to be there alone, that kind of tradition can stick around for generations.
That's what's good to see. It's great to see the youth, getting into this and taking care of themselves, and both physically, mentally, and everything else, because just going to the gym isn't just for working out. It's a bonding. I mean, look, that's how most of us got together, was just through bonding through the gym, and then just the mental side. Best cure for a stressful day is go lift some heavy stuff and throw it down and just get all that tension out of you.
Yeah, and I think too, like in that, like when you, not that lifting is difficult, but when you make the beginning of your day difficult, whether it's lifting or training or the cold plunge, like then that makes the rest of your day. Or you just don't have the capacity to deal with the other stuff. Like when other things may bug you. Like, well, I've already worked out for an hour, and cold plunged, and so I'm just not going to give this any
Any of that
you
extra
thought.
energy.
Yeah, the extra energy. It's good. Cool. All right. So Blake, your second Arnold. So we went and worked out, came back, then head to the expo, and then Blake disappeared. So live on the podcast, we have no idea what Blake's day consisted of. We lost him completely
The entire
for
day.
Entire day.
7 hours. Blake, where were you, and how was your Arnold experience?
It was a lot of fun. I would say probably out of the 5 or 6 hours we were there, I spent 2 searching for the guys from the Mind Pump podcast, looking at I looked at thousands of faces trying to find
I
them.
have really bad news. I found out where they were at.
Where?
You had to buy the pass to Pros Gym, and then they were doing like a thing at the Pros Gym.
Oh, that sucks. I checked their Instagram stories 40 times. Nothing new. I was like, okay, that's cool. But honestly, the majority of the time I was walking around was really just taking in the entirety of the event. I was over at the powerlifting stage quite a bit. It was super, super cool over there. There was 78-year-old women benching more than me. And anything from, basically kids over there to older people, benching and squatting and moving. And it was just really cool to see all that. And then looking at all the different vendors and stuff like that. I mean, it was just taking it all in, really, is where I was at most of the time.
How would you compare it to last year being your first experience and kind of having an idea of what to expect, and compare the two of them?
Yeah, the last year, the first hour was a blur because I was just taking samples from every single. I didn't even know what they were until I looked at them later. I was like, how do I get a banana in this bag? Where'd that come from? But no, this year.
Potassium supplement.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This year, even, I'd go and get samples from places I was really interested in, but I bought a couple. There's a veteran-owned, I forget what the name of it was, but protein bars that I tried, and the guy was super cool. He's actually based out of Chicago. I'll have to let you guys try that out. It's he was in the Navy. He's a really, really nice guy. I forget his name, but there's just a lot of really, really cool stuff that I was taking a look at the whole time, and just taking in the entirety of the event. I got to hear Arnold talk for a little while. Like I said, see all the power lifters. Saw a bunch of people swinging swords. Kind of
That was wild.
I mean, they've got something for everybody there. So even if you're somebody that maybe isn't sure if the Arnold would be something you'd be interested in, there's really something there for everybody. There was hot tubs for sale, which is they were obviously recovery based type things, but I mean, even if it's something you don't know if you'd be interested in,
There were cold plunges for sale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll pass on those.
Hey,
But Adam didn't. So Chili Goat by Michael Phelps was there. And like Blake said, there's something for everybody. And so we were the first 3 to get in today. And Adam was the first one to sign the waiver. Speak a little bit on that whole. So we walk in, we do the sample hour, get all the samples, get all that stuff. And then we're walking around and we see this chili and we're talking to him. And basically it was a hat. You got a hat if you did it. But we just wanted to try out the ice bucket because we've talked about it on the podcast before, doing the ice barrel, and the listeners know how much I hate the cold water. And Adam's like, I'll do it. So kind of walk through that.
Well, it started as a joke. We were just talking to the people, and I said, hey, are we able to get in these? And she's just nonchalant, yeah, if you sign a waiver. I was like, whoa. What about trunks and towels? So we got towels. All right, we're doing this. So, I mean, enough said. So we had to get down to our skivvies. We were in our boxers.
Never thought I would be half naked at the Arnold.
Yeah.
first for everything for
Yeah.
thousands of people.
Yeah.
But, I mean, why not be the first,
Yeah.
It was super cool. But I tell you, the way that thing was set up, you guys can speak on it as well, but it was cold for me, a lot colder even that barrel, because I don't know if it's my extremities were just so far stretched out, and I'm used to being so much more tighter, and that thermal barrier that just kind of it comes a lot quicker. Whereas when you're laid out the way you are, I don't know, the extremities just seem to get colder a lot quicker.
Well, and they talked about that plant, it circulates the water, so you can't build a thermal barrier. So the water's always moving. It'd be like if in the mornings in the ice barrel, when you're in it, Vince is sitting there shaking like a mixer, so it can't. And when I got in it, I will speak on about being a gamer or being the man in the arena. I want to find that mentality when it's just me.
Yeah.
and I like, how do I unlock that when I'm by myself?
Mm-hmm.
Because knowing that, like, yeah, you guys are there in the mornings, but that didn't matter. It was like knowing that there were thousands of people walking by looking at I mean, there was only one tub, so it was just me in there. After, and then Adam and Vince went, but I was breathing, but I was so focused on like not being like showing up and just being like, okay, like whether I was creating it in my head or not, like eyes were on me. So was I gonna perform? Like, was I gonna make it the 2 minutes or whatever? And so that was a note that I wrote in my journal when we got to the Arnold panel, was like, how do you unlock that in moments by yourself? Because it was just so interesting. Like, my mindset was so different in those 2 minutes than it had been in the multiple mornings all year.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your, because you then dunked your head under. And,
Yeah, I mean, it's just that level of competition. And this, like, you guys are like, all right, 2 minutes. I'm like, well, okay. Cody's sitting there video, and he's like, you're at 2. I'm like, okay. He said don't stand any longer than 3, so I'm going 3. And, yeah, that was just a showman. Like, look, I'm going to get my head under. But like you talked about, just that showing up, you guys talk about how, Vince does it all the time. It is just a lot of just self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know how it feels. It's not fun by any means, but there's just that self-talk of, all right, I got this. And once you get in, man, I'm telling you, like when I talked a couple weeks ago about the Masogis and it just taking your mind, that's all I do, man. That music's playing, but I don't hear the music. I'm just, first couple of seconds, the eyes are closed, just get the breathing under control, focus, and then it's just out and I'm looking, but it's just like I'm elsewhere. Like, I'm not thinking about what's going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
The last minute I did today, because I was like, that's when I realized, like, oh, hey, there's people walking by just like giving us that look like, what are these fools doing?
Yeah.
Like, they're actually in this thing. Like, why? I'm like, that's when it finally like, hit me. Like, oh wow. But yeah, it was something else.
At that point in the day, I was like, because like we got like 3.5 hours, 4 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It woke me back up.
Oh man,
like for the rest of the
I
time.
did recharge me for sure.
Definitely,
it's good.
Yeah,
and to speak on just like the talk in the mornings back when we're back home, if that's the hardest thing you do it throughout the course of your morning or your day, like you have to tell yourself even as you're at work or whatever everyone's doing, that man, you accomplished that first thing in the morning. So honestly, like, the rest of your day should actually be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And the fact you're able to go somewhere prior to, if something stressful does happen, try to get yourself in that little quick mindset so you can kind of just reset yourself to get back on track. That way you're not letting it stack where your day starts falling apart.
Well, and I want to use it like a pivotal moment. Like, I'm already thinking about tomorrow morning. We've got the ice pod out in the yard here. Like Vince did it this morning, and Adam, I did not.
Well, in your defense, it shouldn't count because it was like 52 degrees.
But I still didn't do it. But it wasn't because I was like, oh, it's too warm. It's windy and raining.
Yeah.
I was already thinking, like, all right, tomorrow morning, like, you like practice that mindset again and again, and in that sense. So then we left right from there. I threw away my underwear.
I threw it anywhere.
Yeah.
Mine are in my bag.
I had a question to
Okay.
follow this up. Because you guys lost your underwear.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of places to hide in the Arnold.
We used their sauna.
Yeah.
Those things have windows.
No,
Yeah,
we
well,
used the towel,
okay.
like
Okay.
like
fair
we
enough.
changed very discreetly, like wrap the towel,
My question
like
is
drop
answered.
But it was still
I guess.
very, very hard to put your clothes back on and not
When I was-
flash the world.
When I was standing in front of the Colton, there was definitely some people trying to catch a peek. And I was like,
Oh!
wait,
Something for everybody at the Arnold.
Cody's blocking the door, like
Yeah, like,
he's like, don't hurry. That's too good.
I definitely caught a couple people looking, and I was like, it's a sauna, but there's a guy getting dressed in there.
Yeah, it's a changing room right now. But yeah, that was cool.
I just wanted to add one thing
Yeah.
before you moved on from the starting your day off with something difficult to make the rest of your day easier. I got asked the other day by my area manager while we were at a work function, and he's like, well, what time do you wake up in the morning? And I was like, 3 o'clock. And I used to be in at 5 or 5:20 or whatever time I'd show up. But I am now the sole proprietor of the 4 a.m. crew at my
I
gym.
love it.
The only person there, just because our day starts a little bit earlier. At
I
my
don't believe it, but
new
I love
location.
it.
No, I'll send you a picture on Monday.
Tuesday,
He's
Wednesday.
Yeah, whatever day.
On his phone.
But he asked me, he's like, well, why do you do that? And I kind of was lost for words when he asked because I couldn't really put it into words exactly. If you look at the science technically, like if you're lifting for gains or for strength gains or anything like that, a workout later in the day is a little bit better for you because you're able to be more fed and go into it and lift heavier and be stronger. But I wouldn't trade a morning workout for the world because it truly does. Like when my day comes at 7:30, you can tell, like, you know, when we open our doors anyway, people are walking in and they've still, like, they're rubbing crud out of their eyes.
Yeah.
They're like just waking up and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I've already, you know, worked out for an hour and a half, made breakfast, showered. Like I've got my day off to a great start. And, you know, like I said, I see people just, they miss on things at the beginning of the day. And by the time 11 rolls around, I'm like, it's time to go home yet? Like, my bedtime's 7:30. And then that's when some people are just, you know, really waking up for the day. They're really just ready at that point. So I think it's a huge thing. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Because I thought about switching to later in the day workouts. It's like, you know, it might be a little bit more beneficial, but I can't.
That's not what you were bred by.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And I
Not at
think
all.
we joke with Blake a lot on the podcast, whether he hears it or not. But how old are you?
23.
So how many 23-year-olds, get up at 4 or 5?
Most of them are still going to bed at 4 or 5.
Right.
Yeah.
They're out partying all night.
And then how many go on a trip with 2 30-year-olds and 2 40-year-olds? And just like his buy-in and the things that he's seeing now are going to pay dividends as he grows and those things. So while, yes, he's the little brother on the trip that we get to pick on, it is cool to see his growth just from like a few years ago coming in at 5 a.m., switching from that other purple gym.
I mean, yikes. Yeah. Dark period in my life. I honestly, like, I've probably not said it out loud to you guys before, but I can honestly attribute to each and every one of you success that I've had.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I've, worked up pretty quickly. I've made a huge impact in my job, and I obviously aspire to continue to do that. I'm not going to be there to be mediocre. It's and I can see the difference in the other people that I work with too, like who's truly motivated when they come in and who's kind of got their head on their shoulders. And I told a lot of stories on the way over here that everybody got quite a laugh at from 18 to 20 years old. And as funny as they sound and as much crap as I got for it, like that is truly like the past. That's truly stuff that I've learned from and grown from.
Yeah, but some people don't have that till they're 30.
Yeah,
where they don't grow from that. They look back.
I'm old.
My mistake wasn't until I was 40 that course corrected everything.
Yeah.
And we talk about the last few weeks about finding those like-minded people and seeing that growth. I don't think many of us would be where we are right now if it wasn't for each other.
Right.
I mean, if it wasn't for Colton owning the gym, where would we be with that? Like, I can tell you, I wouldn't have started 75 hard. I've looked at it before that and was just laughed at it. Like, I don't want to do that. But
now you've done it twice.
3 times.
3 times.
And look forward to the next one
Yeah,
now. Like, it's just, so this tribe of 5 guys, whether you were 42 or 23, doesn't matter. Like, that like-minded focus on bettering ourselves along with bettering each other just makes it that much
to have the
more
general,
special.
To have the general goal of getting better and improving every day, it doesn't have to.
That's what
You
it's
can be
all about.
6 years
1%.
old and understand that
1%.
concept.
Yeah, and that's inside and outside the gym.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because then you've got this group of people that you can turn to and talk to, and even if it's just going to Topgolf, or going on, with the wives to, Effingham or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just things like that have created this bond. But I think in that, like, talking about each other, attributing to each other's successes, like, you don't get there by yourself. And so when we talk about, like, you're the 5 people you hang around the most, you'll be the 6th. Like, what does your circle look like? And
Pretty strong 5.
yeah, pretty strong. Like, where you're running, like, you're chasing someone else all the time when you're by yourself. Or even in here, we can say, I'm chasing Cody's deadlift, or I'm chasing, Adam's 5 mile time. I'm not chasing his 5 mile time.
Chasing the 5 miles. I almost had it.
Yeah. But in that, like, you instead of starting to chase, now you start to bring each other up. Like, I'm not chasing Cody. Cody's trying to push me to get to where he is. And then Adam's trying to push me to get to where he is. So it's no longer you're just chasing the guy in front of you, where instead this guy's pulling you towards him, which creates it's a different momentum than being like trying to chase the guy in front of you.
And it was evident today, like in the workout. You and I were just like, okay, back and forth, like, and we always try to, like,
same old story.
Try to get 1 rep more. That's all we try to do, and more often than not, it's.
But I think in that, like, I think it goes all the way back to like that squat day we had that will stand out to me for a long time when it was just us. It wasn't that I wanted you to fail. It was that I didn't want you to get it because then I had to get it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I want Vince to miss this so I win, so I beat Vince.
Yeah.
It was, if Vince gets this, I have to go higher.
Yeah. Right.
Even if I fail.
Right.
So it wasn't I want him to fail. It was like preparing myself then to try to go higher. And so saying this morning, like, I didn't want you to miss so that, I was like, if he gets it, crap. Now I got to go higher.
Yep.
So it's not where you're rooting for someone's failure. You're sitting there thinking like, man, now I have to do more than what, and that's how growth happens.
Well, right before you said that, you played into it perfectly. I was thinking about this video I have on my phone of when we had a squat day and I hit 350, and Cody was on the right side, Vince was on the left side, Colton was jumping up and down in the background after I hit it.
Right?
And the first time I watched the video, like, it rolled for a little bit after I turned around. I was wiping my eyes because I had the smelling salts. And no, not yet, not time yet. And Cody and Vince started talking to each other, and they're like, "You have 365 easy.
Yeah,
He's got it easy." And I didn't even hear it until I watched the video. And the first time I watched it, first reaction was just like, I mean, I guess. And then after watching it a couple times, I'm like, they are seeing something in me that I wasn't even seeing in myself. It wasn't at all like, and Cody can squat, a ton, deadlift, twice what I can.
Blast out.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And it's like, they expect more out of me than even I was expecting out of myself at the time, which is crazy.
Yeah, and we tease each other all the time, and we get in each other's heads a little bit, but we're always rooting for each other, regardless.
And the funny thing about that is, like, we see in you, but that is the dad in us.
Yeah.
Like, we have a different perspective on things than you do, and so when we see just a glimpse of anything, whether it be you or our own kids, like, once we see it, we push that direction instead of trying to pull them back this way. No, you need to go this way. You need to stick at 350. Like, no, like, you've got it, and you have to convince yourself that, yes, I do have it. I do, and that's what we're there, just to give you that nudge in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, a dad's job is not always, because something I've learned from my own dad, from you guys, from Mind Pump. When I listen to those guys, they talk about fatherhood a lot there and touch on it, and it's not always a dad's job. And by the way, like, being around you guys, listening to them, and even seeing, obviously with my own dad, like, it makes me so excited to be a dad one day, because like, what I mean.
Better.
I see how rewarding it could be, but a dad's job, from obviously everything I've heard, I'm not a dad yet that I know of, and so, like, I hope not. Anyway, but it's not a dad's job to always be like a cheerleader and just have like blind faith in somebody.
Right.
It's push for more, and even maybe like if I would have turned around from that 350 squat and been like, oh yeah, great, pumping my own chest, you guys would have said the same thing. You would have said, no, you have 365.
Yeah.
You push you to go that extra 1%, just get a little bit better than, because you can do it.
Yeah.
And you won't know unless you try.
Right.
Yeah. And people
I tried and failed.
Yeah. And lifting is one of those things, like, people who don't get lifting don't understand it. But I think it's got so many, like,
a lot of fear in it.
In connections to life. Like, when you achieve something and then you're immediately like, what's next? Like, 365. Well, you get this job and it's like, okay, well, now what's next? Instead of like sitting in that, like, oh, cool, I got 350, or cool, I got this job.
Yeah.
That mindset of like, there's another number on the board to knock off, whether it's a quarter pound plate or it's, you can always chase that next pound until you eventually arrive at the time where, you've gotten to that point where you get to, retire and leave legacies in other ways. But I think that's like that twofold of like lifting correlates to so many things in life. It's good.
Well, that's what I see so many times with like the people that I work with. Like I know I came back to it again, but those people like they're always they look at like our area managers because at Enterprise, like you hit area manager, you're making six figures, you're making really good money. And I've heard so many of my coworkers be like, I'd really like to get to an area manager one day. I'd really like to get there. I'm like, I'm looking at the RVPs and like the C-level suite, executives at our company that are making just an ungodly amount of money. And I'm like, no, that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
Whether it be here or elsewhere.
But area manager is a step. You don't get to just jump.
But even as soon as I got promoted up to Springfield as an assistant manager at one of the biggest stores in the group, solely based off of my performance, like it wasn't, oh, this is great. It was, all right, now how do I make, my first day, I'm like, what do I do now to prepare for the next step?
It's good. It's really good. Yeah. And I think that led into like, then we left that and went to the Arnold panel, and Arnold and Jocko came out. And I've got so many thoughts around that, but I want to hear your guys' takeaways from that.
I mean, what I read in his book is basically, like I said, I told you guys, he told those same stories. Show your weaknesses. Yep. That was the one that sticks out. Like,
show them your calves.
Yeah, don't hide it. Like, and we've all got them. There's no reason to be ashamed of what your weakness is, but attack that weakness and make it your strength. And man, it's just there's again relaying back to life. Like, there's so many things in life that we can learn from just knowing that, okay, I'm not super strong here. We talked last week. My weakness at home, my discipline is patience. Mm-hmm. And I'm constantly, now that I know that, I'm working on it and I'm being more patient, and the benefits are just great.
It's good. What else we got from the Arnold talk?
It's just, it goes back to the mentality with it as well. It's when he was talking about, we didn't go in there and just throw on 135 pounds and rep it out. He said we went in there and put 405 on the bar and did as many reps as we could. We get 6 to 8 reps, and then we go down 315, 6 to 8 reps again. And then you go down to 225, and you try to get 6 or 8 or more, or as many as you can again. And it's just that always pushing yourself past that line and striding for greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just seemed like they kept reinventing themselves.
Yeah.
Every time they went in the gym, whoever they were working out with, they were continuously trying to figure out ways to better themselves, which in turn allowed them to have to reinvent the way they did their training. The muscle confusion. Like we've all known that since we all started lifting. You never want to continuously do the same thing because those gains will not come. And so they just back then that was something that wasn't even heard of. And so like this, look at it now. So just be able to like just to witness him verbally speaking those words and put him like out there in the world, like, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just super cool.
It was crazy to see him. And then I think when you look at his like life, if you watch his documentary or I'm about to read the book that he did, like you just said, every time they went into the gym, whether he was with Franco or Lou Ferrigno or whoever he was with, he was trying to recreate or change something up. Well, look at his life: bodybuilder, actor, governor, now like all the things he does in philanthropy and all that stuff. Like he's continued to reinvent himself, and so I think that's something that we can look like. There's going to come a point in life where you were not able to train the way we train now and do the things we do now. Right. But like, so where at what point when that is taken away do you reinvent yourself? Mm-hmm. And so same with like fatherhood or like you're not going to have a toddler forever. So how do you reinvent yourself to be a dad of a kid and then a teenager. Yeah. And then and then an adult kid. Like that's so outside of the realm of my thought. But then I look at like my parents, I'm like, well, yeah, they're still my mom and dad. Like, but I'm 30, so it's just, and how do you continue to reinvent yourself?
This is just like what Vince said about making your biggest weakness your strength. Like, when I listen to the guys on Mind Pump and they have callers call in and ask questions about like their health and fitness and like workouts that they're doing and what they're trying to do. And, you might have somebody call in, and honestly, at this point, I've listened to them so much that like I can listen to a caller and I can answer it exactly how they're going to answer it because I know exactly what it is. But a lot of times, like for like a lot of the people calling, they're like, well, I've been doing, bodybuilding workouts for 15 years and I've just hit a huge stall and I don't know what do I got to do to progress? Like I've hit a huge block in the road. What do I need to do? Well, have you ever trained in a powerlifting style?
Right.
Oh, no? Well, guess what? Your body's going to respond to that because you've never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always it's because you've got so much room for improvement in that specific area, just like Vince said with patience. Well, he said he started working on that. He's made huge bounds with it. It doesn't matter if it's fitness or if it's life. Like, you make your biggest weakness your biggest strength. Like, it will make you grow so much more as a person or in fitness or whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think like the Arnold is so why we go every year is there's always stuff that happens that we can't plan for or like think about. Like we knew the Arnold Jocko thing was going on. We knew the Chili Goat, like the cold tub was going to be there. We didn't know we could get in, but we knew it was going to want to go look at it. Well, then there's times where like you go walk around and you come back in and you're like, okay, we're going to go walk around booths. Let's just make our lap. And you walk up and there's a guy that's sitting in a chair with a prosthetic leg by a stack of books. And Cody knew who it was.
Immediately knew who it was.
Yeah. And I didn't know. I don't think Adam and Vince knew, but knew he was someone. And if you get readers around books, which now that we kind of started reading a lot more, we were like, okay, so then he signs these books for us and he stands up and he's 6'8". Yeah, he's huge.
Massive.
Monster of a man. And he signs these books for us and we're talking and this stuff. And Cody like comes over and he's got like goosebumps. He's like, oh my gosh. And we're like, okay, you got to tell us about this book that we just bought. And so share who we just randomly walked into.
Yeah, so Nick Lavery, he's not no longer, but he's Special Forces Green Beret in the Army. He's been injured in combat multiple times, and all of them are, unfortunate that he had to deal with it, but it made him who he is today, and people look up to him because of that, because of the amount of mental fortitude that he had to go through, and the physical fortitude he had to go through to deal with everything he did. But the one story that really like gets you is they were in this little compound with U.S. infantry, U.S. Special Forces, and the Afghan police and Afghan National Army over in Afghanistan. And there was a Afghan policeman that was in the back of a technical truck with a machine gun who, generally the way it would work is that the Taliban would capture his family and say, you need to go kill these people or like attack them. Because if you don't, we're going to kill you. So you're dead regardless. But if you want, we'll save your family and we'll, make sure they're set for the rest of their life. And as far as I know, they actually do that. They keep them well fed and like give them nice houses and whatnot. But so that happened. This police officer started just mowing these guys down with machine guns, and a younger U.S. infantry soldier just stuck like a deer in headlights watching it happen. And as the machine gunner was panning over to him, Nick takes off and tackles him and blocks it for him. He takes a machine gun around to his leg, shatters his femur and lacerates his femoral artery, which, if you know anything about a femoral artery, if that's severed, you're generally not surviving that. And he did that, and after he's hit, he's laying on the ground, and you're not going to be able to move with your femur exploded like that. And he's commanding people, telling people what to do, and the situation gets taken care of, and he comes back to the U.S. and gets taken care of, and he survives it. And with all that happening, he had to get his leg cut off, amputated, and offered by the military to basically be medically retired for the rest of his life, taking care of the rest of his life. He said, no thanks, I'm going back, and ended up becoming the first Green Beret to ever get redeployed as an amputee.
And he had to pass all the tests with an amputee.
Just talking about it gives me goosebumps still, and it's like, because I was an infantry soldier, and that's the kind of things I would dream about, as taking that valor, and that's why I signed up to fight for my country, and just hearing stories like that, it just makes you want to go back and like it makes me want to go back and join the Army again. And it's incredible the quick thinking he did. I mean, he didn't think about it. He just did it.
Yeah.
And it's just such an amazing story, and I'm glad he's home.
Yeah, super
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
It was amazing just to be able to. Again, we didn't know about it,
Right.
But
Yeah.
just to when you see it, like you obviously know something's happened, and
Right.
then, meeting him and getting a book. I mean, I want to like start it now. Like
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
so
I can't
jacked
wait.
to read it and read all about it and hear his story. And I mean, I got brownie points with him just because my name's the same as his son. So yeah, super inspiring.
Yes.
Well, and I think it goes back to like for us, like talking about stuff on a podcast and lifting and trying to be better in life. But then there's obviously levels. And we don't get to do any of this if there aren't guys like that
Exactly.
that protect and defend and care about the country. And so even Arnold talked about politics a little bit in the thing.
Yeah.
It was like, why are we all here? It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. Like you're all here because you are connected through this like thing. And so don't focus on what separates us, but what brings us together. And I think like just understanding that like we are really blessed to have the freedoms that we do, whether we agree with everything that goes on. Like, so like Andy talks about, like no one's coming to save you inside your house, inside your life.
Yeah.
Like, so how are you going to be the person in your life that's willing to, run into that storm and protect? And so I think for us, like, it's good to see those guys and know that, like, man, there's definitely levels to this, and I'm thankful that there's guys like Nick Lavery that are out there, because I'm 5'10", and I don't want my femur shattered.
No.
So
I mean, when I hear stories like that too, like it's kind of one of those things that almost makes me like really upset that there are people out there doing things like that, and we are truly like blessed. Like, people always want to complain about what they don't have.
Yeah.
If you're born a U.S. citizen, you won the lottery.
yeah,
You won the lottery of birth. And to think that there's people that are ungrateful for what they have, like, deep down, I know that's part of what inspires me to try to always get better, is that, like, there's people out there that, I might be worried about what I'm going to do for my workout that morning, and there's people out there worrying about how they're going to survive until tomorrow in different countries.
100%, yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me that people wouldn't take the opportunity that we've all been given and run with it and just try to be the best that you could possibly be.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is like trying to fight against mediocrity and achieve greatness. And I'm just glad we don't have to fight against life and death. Like, it's not mediocrity, it's mediocrity to greatness, not today. It's a matter of life and death. And so it's awesome to see guys like Nick and Jocko and those guys that understand that. But then see them come back and talk about the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like you're a direction. What was the saying? You're a reflection on your leadership. You're a direct reflection of your leadership. So, like, again, with the like-minded people, you're surrounding yourself with those kinds of people. And we look at Jocko's, we look at the Facellas, we look at the Nicks, and it's just like we gravitate towards those type of people, because that's the kind of success that we're trying to at least get to a point of something like that.
And hopefully pull those people that may be mediocre now, pull them up to where we are now, and just keep that chain constantly going the same direction.
Because it's not a vicious cycle. It's a cycle of real life, of trying to make everyone else around you better.
Yeah. It's not hard to try to get better. It's hard to try to make all those steps at one time. It's not hard to just try to get a little bit better every day. Like, I feel like I've had so many people ask me, because, I mean, a super abbreviated story of where I came from as far as, like, starting to work out and stuff. I was always chubby all the way up until, the end of high school and into college, and then was into some really, really bad, habits and just living a life I wasn't proud of up until I was about 20. And then I found fitness, started working out, lost a bunch of weight, went through a lot of struggles, but ultimately came out really, really well on the other side. And not to say I'm perfect right now, I still have some of those struggles, but at the end of the day, I'm way better than what I was. And I've had a lot of people see that and ask me, well, hey, like, obviously they see the exterior, oh, you worked out. How'd that happen? And any person that's asked me, I've been more than happy to like lend a hand, tell them, hey, come to the gym with me.
Mhm.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And it's because I want to see, you know, like I said, all these people that, you know, are okay with being mediocre. Like, don't be. There's no point there. You're not gaining anything.
Well, like you said, they see the exterior, but the exterior is just the
Byproduct.
visual of the interior. Like,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I think that's good. It's really good.
Well, we talked. I mean, change is hard. Like there's no change that's going to be easy, and it takes time. And we just showed our pictures to each other from, you know,
Day one.
you went 75 days and made a drastic change, which was amazing. And then I went back and showed from 14 months ago,
Yeah.
to where I'm at now. I mean, there's
Unrecognizable.
There's no timeline for it. There's no set schedule for it on how you're going to get from A to B. You just have to trust the process and stick to the grind. Like,
But 14 months ago, if you could have had like a 10-second snapshot of what it would be like today, like there would have been nothing that hindered that progress, because you would have been like, oh my gosh, I want to achieve that.
Yeah.
And so it's like the visual is great, but then now I'm going to ask you this question, like go back 14 months ago, like how has your life changed from then to today? Not the physical side.
And mentally,
Yeah.
I'm in a much better place mentally. Like, even go back 1,300 days ago,
Yeah.
roughly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then that changed from then to December when we decided to do this. That was a giant step.
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, well, just stick the course. You know, I've worked out for years but never saw this change.
Mhm.
But just that like-minded people and that push, like, you know,
That competitive edge.
yeah. It gave me a whole different drive and a singular focus on what I wanted to achieve.
Mhm.
And even what I wanted to achieve wasn't even in this realm. I wouldn't have thought I would be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But now I see where I'm at from 14 months ago, and I go, man,
Yeah.
What's the end of Live Hard gonna look
what can
like?
what can I do at the end of this year and look like?
Yeah.
You know, so it's that internal motivation now.
Mhm.
I've seen the external. Now it is
Yeah,
just become internal of what I can do.
It's good, man. Yeah.
When you look at it as like a human race as well, I mean, only 100 years ago, 200 years ago, humans weren't having the easy life, the stagnant life we have today. I mean, you can go to the grocery store, pack your refrigerator full of sweets and foods, and get fat on your couch, or you could use a little bit of your time in your day to just stay active, and because 200 years ago, 300 years ago, survival was
Your day was active.
your day was survival.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to go get your food and farm your food, hunt your food. There was no grocery. I mean, they had markets and stuff,
Right, but
probably,
still.
But somebody had to grow all
but
that.
someone had to do that.
Well, the way the country's set up right now, you know, for obviously all the blessings that we have that we just talked about, it's, you know, our health system honestly is designed to fail.
Yeah.
I saw this meme yesterday that said, yeah, the United States healthcare system is perfect if you don't have teeth or eyes and you're not overweight.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We're getting
it's-
kicked off of Facebook. Bye, Facebook.
But it's, you know, there's some truth to it. Like when you go to the store and you know, if you can make that lap around the outside, you know, you've got your meat and your vegetables and your real food, and you know, I mean, I think I spent like $3 on a head of lettuce the other day. I could go buy a box of Oreos for $2.50.
Exactly.
And there's like, I mean, it would have taken people 200 years ago.
Oreos.
It would have taken people 200 years ago, months, not months, but probably a week or two to try to get as many calories into their diet as you can grab in $2 today.
Yeah.
It's so easy, and you know, it's not comfortable to make those decisions to eat healthy and buy the other stuff, because like obviously everybody eats it for a reason. It tastes pretty good, but like
Convenience.
Yeah.
it's
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah,
and
right.
Unfortunately,
you
they
gotta
don't.
be comfortable being uncomfortable.
But if you gave like Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie and Oreo in the 1800s, I bet she would have been like, yeah, this thing,
give
way
me one of
better
those.
than fried. Yeah, that's good. But then, and then I think after that, like you see the typical Arnold experience, like walking around, just seeing all the stuff where everything in there is each company's got a mindset of wanting to make people better, whether they're whether the product is this or that. Like they're there because they have a passion for fitness, which leads to a passion of mindset and growth and change. And so I think it was just cool to see all that. And then we ended it, again, don't know where Blake was, but we went to the Muay Thai fights. And as I'm sitting there watching those guys fight and seeing guys get kicked in the head and kicked in the ribs and just don't want any part of that. But that's their lane that they're trying to find ways. And that's their thing. And so whether it's that, the medieval games, the powerlifting, I mean, Arnold talked about chess, like learn a different language. Like whatever your thing is, go try to get really good at it. So I think, like, I always look at the Arnold like it's my new year. Like it's like when I reset and refocus and reestablish all these things. And I guess just so kind of as we kind of close here with the next 20 minutes or so, just like what is like the thing you're taking away from this weekend back to Central Illinois?
Not all at once.
Yeah, not everybody.
Just
go
for
at
the
once.
record, whenever you were watching the fights, I was sitting on the floor eating a bowl of broccoli and cheese soup because I can't have meat today. That's where I was.
Hashtag wound.
I am bringing back, just like you said, a renewed sense of excitement towards everything. You know, we've talked in this last program beat us down.
Yeah.
And we'll grow from it. But with all the talk of where we're going to be next year with this, and just talking tonight, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. It's a different level of excitement that I never thought.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be sitting here doing this.
Yeah.
And the excitement I get, like looking forward to the next episode and the next episode and stuff like that, like, and then just taking those mental notes as we're walking around and seeing the different booths and the different products and how are they selling. It is lit a different fire inside of me.
I like it.
Speaking of fires, for me, it's rekindling that fire because I've been out of the gym I've been back in.
There,
I've been back in a couple times, but for the past like month or two. But for me, I had a job that I was working nights, and and this also kind of goes back to being around the people that you want to be, and the people that I was working with aren't fitness guys. They're lazy and eating garbage, and like you start to playing video games all day and like
Product of your environment.
Yeah, you're a product of your environment, and just coming back to the Arnold and seeing all the people at every level of fitness.
Yeah.
And it's just reigniting that passion for me.
That's cool, man. Well, we're glad you're back.
Yeah,
I am too.
Cody's the prime example of leaning on those that you're close to.
Yeah.
Like he came out and told us like, hey guys, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And man, we were there like, hey, whatever you need, man. Like we got you. We've all done it with sick kids and everything else. Like,
and it's hard, but like I think Cody, whether it was an experiment or not, go remove yourself from an environment and put yourself in a new one, and slowly, no matter how mentally strong or physically strong you are, you start to lean towards that environment that you're around, and so
that's exactly what happened to me too.
Yeah.
So I'll use it as an experiment.
Yeah.
Fat to fit.
There you go.
Fit to fat to fit.
Yeah, it's just like your story last week of the guy with being trained by his dad for 26 years, and in less than a month he just completely fell apart.
It's got to be batting 1,000.
Yeah.
With that, just walking yourself away from that foundational piece that you think you can conquer all on your own, because I know I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I have to be around people like this if I'm going to continue to see success in my life.
And the strength to realize that it was pulling him in the wrong direction to course correct and get back on track says a lot too.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just by thinking about the stuff that we've talked about this evening, and just thinking about our families probably being around us whenever this takes off next year, like that's a big positive for all of us, I think, because I know my kids, if they're able to come, or even just like my wife Kelsey, I think it's a good foundational piece for her to witness a lot of things that go on here, because there's at times that she can probably, and this would kind of rekindle that flame, at times too, even for her, because she's just going to see a different avenue because she's never experienced it before either. And so I think it'd be super cool just to see, like, wow, there's a lot of good things going on here.
Yeah.
I'd say probably, I took away a couple of pretty big things, but two of the biggest, I would say, one is kind of the brotherhood aspect that we all share being on this trip every year, and knowing that, like, if I needed anything at all, I could reach out to any of you guys. I kind of divulged to my friend the other day that I've kind of been struggling with something that I hadn't really vocalized, and it was moving away, not having a roommate anymore, being like truly like
adult.
Independent. I mean, I've been moved out for 5 years now.
Yeah.
And, like, I took all my bills over. Like, I was an adult in that sense, but, like, really truly being on my own.
Well, going somewhere where you don't know anybody.
Nobody. And I felt like, not like, to be completely transparent, the first couple weeks over there, I've been super lonely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any friends over there, and it's hard to make friends for me. Like, I used to be super, super social, and I just haven't had really the time, A, but B, like, the ability to go out and make friends over there. And honestly, like, being around people, again, that I'm familiar with, and, like, consider everybody to be my brother, and, like, know that I still have that family here. It's like super refreshing, because it was pretty dark there for a couple of weeks, and not having anybody over there, and kind of just being on my own, and it felt like I was out on an island and ready to jump off. I was just like, whoa, what is going on? And so that's a huge thing to take back, is that I'm super happy I can call you guys my friends, and being able to look forward to this again next year is huge. And then another thing that really I kind of just put together while we were, doing this podcast, was being around everybody at the Arnold, and obviously being around you guys, like, everybody with that like-minded sense of moving forward. Like, that's one thing that I think working out people take for granted, because, it's when people get into working out, a lot of times it comes from a place of insecurity. I don't look good, or I am super weak, or it's, or whatever it is. When I started working out, it's because I wanted girls to look at me, and I didn't want boobs anymore. I mean, if you want the honest truth, that's why I didn't want to, like, that's why I started working out. And it was so much more than that. Like, after I got into it, like, everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a runner, if you are a power lifter, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're just working out to stay in shape, it does not matter at all. Everybody has got the goal in mind of moving forward. And I love how that's translated for me out of the gym. Like, seeing it, I don't care if it was like the concrete booth with their creatine, like literally just selling creatine, or if it was even the booth, selling all the THC stuff for recovery and this and that, or the, saunas, whatever. It's all recovery.
CBD.
They had a Delta 8 booth or something. I don't know. Well, either way, they're all moving, like, everything was forward facing. Everything was moving forward. Everything was getting better. And it doesn't matter, like, what your avenue is, as long as you're getting better. And I found that to translate into my life, into my work, into my, into my religion. Like, a couple of years ago, I could care less if I went to church on a Saturday or a Sunday. I was just, well, if I can make it, I can make it. If not, then not. And I'd make the excuse even if I could make it. I was like, I don't really care. And the last year or two, like, I have just dove back in really heavily, and strengthened my relationship with God, and strengthened everything that I've been doing in my life, because every single aspect I'm like, I got to look forward. I got to get better in every single aspect.
Well, it's kind of like what Nick gave us that bookmark, on how long are you going to put off becoming who you are supposed to be? And I think you can't put this stuff off, because the longer you wait, the further away it's going to get.
Yeah.
It's that weakness that Arnold talked about. If you got small calves, start wearing shorts.
Yep.
Like, you got to find that weakness, and you got to try and make it your strength.
Yeah, I think going like for me, the takeaway along with Blake's like, and I think I can speak a little bit to like that. The thing about the loneliness and like getting away from your community, like when I left college and went to Ohio or wherever it was, like it's hard to find a community because you're lonely because there's not a lot of people that operate like what we're trying to operate at. And it can be intimidating. It can be a lot of work. People like their comfort. And so you're asking people to be uncomfortable. And so like for me, like I used to post about the 5 a.m. crew all the time and it was just me. Like, and then it was really easy to miss because no one was there. And then it was like Vince and Cody and then Blake and then Adam and then and we've seen many people come and go.
Yeah.
But in that, like, look at how many people have come and gone from the 5 a.m. crew, whether it was a day or a week. Your community will come, but you have to continue to like rely on those that even aren't there like in body, but are there in spirit. And it's the same with people trying, like you said about your faith. Like the amount of people who truly want to grow in their faith, like invest in their relationship with God, like it's hard to go be around other people like that don't, because you go back to those habits. Same with the gym. And so I think the takeaway was like, man, this is so cool. This is everybody gathered together that has the same mindset. And then all those people go back to communities and they may be the only person in that community that went to that. Like we know 2 other people from Mattoon area that went to the Arnold. Like we didn't see them today, but we know that's like 7 people out of 19,000 that, not saying other people don't want to go or aren't, wired like that. But there's people that are lonely because you're trying to operate in a different space than what other people are, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And so your community you'll find that community there, but it takes time because it's just, they're hard to find. And so, but once you find it, like you found it at Relentless, like then they're there. So it'll come.
That's really kind of what inspired me to get back to going to church every single week, and now I don't miss, and my life in prayer has gotten a lot stronger, because one of the overwhelming thoughts that I had whenever I felt all that loneliness was like, oh wow, like how selfish was I to turn away from the one person that's literally always there for me, always listen to me, and always is going to hear what I'm saying and thinking, and like, to think that I just abandoned the most important relationship in my life, it made me really upset with myself, because I just
That's conviction, and that's good.
threw that away for a long time, and I was like, how ungrateful can I be to not take an hour out of my week at bare minimum to put on some. I mean, I'm Catholic. I can wear jeans to church. Like, it doesn't matter,
I'm not denominational. I can wear shorts and a tank top.
I mean, they take you as you are. You wear whatever you want. You don't have to wear your underwear if you just got in the ice bath either, probably. Nobody's going to ask, But, I mean, to dive back into it, just head first. Like, I didn't miss a beat. I knew what I needed to do, and so I showed back up. And, I had a lot of conversations with the priest at the church in Mattoon. Father John was so happy that because he got to watch, just like you guys have got to watch me progress. Like, he got to watch me progress, every 2 weeks when I'd step into the confessional. And it was more than, hey, Father, this is what I did wrong last couple weeks. It was, hey, this is what I did wrong. This is what I'm excited about. Like, this is, where I have been, and this is where I'm going. And, it was really nice to be able to get back to that, because it's something that you really understand how much you miss until you were gone.
It's good. Well, I think we'll kind of close with, I think, what Blake was saying, like, and it's so true, because these podcasts go, we thought we were going to talk about the party at the Arnold, and then you start getting all the things that you experience coming out there. But like Blake said, like, when you're lonely and all that stuff is going on, like, at some point you break it down to the bare minimum, and like, we are creation, like we were created, and when there's nothing else, like, who better to know you and know the plan and the purpose than the one who created you? Like, if I built an engine and I built this invention and gave it to Cody and it broke, who would he go ask to fix it? The one who made it. So when our lives are a mess and we don't know what to, like, who better to figure it out than the God that created you? And so I think that's sometimes we try to do all this stuff on our own,
Yep.
but it takes a community, it takes a relationship, it takes knowing your creator, and surrendering to your creator. But yeah, I think it's just awesome where we're going to continue to grow to. And if you don't have your Arnold 2025 tickets,
25.
Yep.
holy cow,
25.
get them because we're going to be there.
We're gonna be there.
Arnold
We're gonna boost.
2026, I can get us a Suburban if you want. I'll be old enough. We're rocking a minivan this week, so that's cool.
I like it.
Yeah,
Well, that was awesome. Well, this will be a surprise episode,
Boom.
but we'll be back next Thursday for episode 9.
Hi, Mom.
Peace. You want to go here? Just stop. Just hit
Hey,
stop, and then
Thursday?
I'll do the discard. It'll drop Thursday. We'll do
Oh.
it Monday.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll post it.
speaking, I
Yeah,
can't.